Yo, yo, yo. Hey guys, how you going? It's David here from Social God. I am back again with another reaction video for you. I want to introduce you to a very, very special reaction, and there will probably be many reactions to this particular content creator. He has been a shining star, absolute lightning bolt in the Manosphere community. His name is Dr. Orion Teraban. I sort of caught one of his earlier episodes. He was about at, say, 80,000 subscribers, 70 or 80,000 subscribers he was at the time. He's now at 800, 900,000 subscribers. He'll probably pass 1 million subscribers in the next couple of months. He comes to the Manosphere space with a very, very unique viewpoint. He is actually a psychologist. He actually works with relationships and with men from a clinical point of view. And so his viewpoints and his thoughts carry a lot of weight, I would say, and they're very articulate. He's gone on to write a book called The Value of Others. Amazing book. Highly recommend that anyone who wants to know more about relationships actually gets that book. But this particular episode, and there's more episodes to come, but this particular episode is based around who speaks for men and this idea that the guys at the absolute extremes are the only ones that have the balls to speak up for men because everyone else gets crushed by society. So it's actually very articulate. It's very deep. A lot of what Dr. Orion Teraban says, you do actually need to have a little bit of an educated brain in order to grasp the concepts that he's talking about. And he speaks with a lot of, I think they're, I can't remember if they're like analogies. He speaks with a lot of analogies or that kind of thing, but then it always relates back to a concept of male and female dynamics. So he's really, really good. I'm going to start with this episode. This is one of his later ones, probably about 2 or 3 months ago. His earlier stuff was great. He's got so many good videos. Let's just start with this one now and let's get started.
I'm Dr. Orion Teraban, and this is Psychacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is who speaks for men? So this is a topic that I've been asked to weigh in on a few different occasions when I've been invited to appear on various podcasts. And so far, I haven't really liked any of my responses. And I think that's largely because I hadn't given the subject much thought. However, in the intervening time, I've considered the topic more deeply, and I'd like to share some of my insights in today's episode. Basically, I've been asked on a few occasions to explain the cultural phenomenon of the male ideologue. Like, how have certain charismatic or forceful personalities managed, for lack of a better word, to seduce the hearts and minds of so many young men?
He's talking about the manosphere in general, but the ideologue is obviously all of the thoughts around the manosphere or any particular topic. So he's talking about how do these guys actually become so influential in the manosphere.
What might be the psychological explanation for this happening? Now, the best answer I've heard to these questions, which is not a bad answer, is that this springs from an absence of real male role models. We're currently passing through a crisis of masculinity in which traditional templates of maleness have been systematically dismantled, and nature abhors a vacuum. In the absence of better alternatives, impressionable young men hungry for direction will gravitate to the most forceful or confident or charismatic personalities in their cultural milieu. I think this is true and something to take seriously. However, there's something else that I'd like to talk about with respect to this phenomenon that I don't think has received adequate attention and consideration. After all, these ideologues are not just strong personalities, they give rise to ad hoc societies around them. It's not like millions of young men are just like individually locked into a single internet personality. They're also interacting with each other. And this is just as, if not more, important than the personality around whom that society forms. I think that it's no coincidence that these communities have sprung up in a world in which there are zero, like absolutely zero, exclusively male spaces anymore. I think the absence of male space is the larger vacuum that has given rise to this particular phenomenon. Let's consider this further. It's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to find any spaces in the West that are just for men. Like, it very much used to be a man's world. The business world in particular, and work in general, used to be a male space. Not anymore.
And there's not that there's anything wrong with that. We encourage and we want women to succeed. However, there also needs to be a space for men to be men, basically to share our ways, to come together and to beat our chest and feel like we are achieving something of our own.
Women are in the workforce and they're not going anywhere. Then it used to be sports. No. Every broadcast now has female commentators or reporters or announcers. Then it used to be social clubs. No, those were discriminatory and have been legally dismantled. I mean, even the Boy Scouts doesn't exist anymore because I guess it was too traumatic for girls to be excluded from that organization. However, this infiltration of unisex spaces has not been bilateral. Women want men to surrender male spaces, but they want to retain their own. The Boy Scouts have been disbanded, but the Girl Scouts are alive and well, and they don't intend to admit boys anytime soon. Indeed, these female spaces are proud, if not a little misguided, about their identities. For instance, there's a blog post on the Girl Scouts website entitled, "In a world of boys' clubs, give her one of her own." Like, I don't know what world the Girl Scouts is looking at, but it's not the world I see. There are no male spaces anymore. But a lot of those advocating for girls and women haven't updated their browsers. There's a lot of resistance from women around relinquishing female spaces. And I think that's right. I think it's good and right for women to have exclusively female spaces. Just listen to their experience. Women tend to feel safer. They tend to feel more comfortable. They're more willing to discuss certain issues and concerns without men present. It's like, no shit. Of course they do. Like, why else would 85% of gynecologists be female? But guess what? The same thing is true for men. Men feel safer, more comfortable, more willing to discuss certain issues and concerns without women present. Like, the addition of one person of the opposite sex can change the entire group dynamic considerably. This change isn't always for the worse, but let's be real. It's also not always for the better. There's also considerable evidence that same-sex communities are associated with a host of positive mental health outcomes for boys and girls. It would be very, very easy to make an empirically supported case for the argument that men and boys benefit from unisex environments at least as much as women and girls do. If you're interested in taking your understanding to the next level, I would encourage you to check out the Captain's Quarters.
So we're just going to quickly skip this section here, but I'm going to keep quickly going over this. But as you can see here, he's very, very intelligent in what he says, and basically he advocates for men. And there's some really good episodes that I'm going to bring to you of Dr. Orion Teraban, but I just thought I'd start with this one.
The dismantling of male spaces hasn't stopped there. Like, it wasn't enough to get rid of the physical spaces or to consider the infiltration of every last one to be the march of victory for some progressive manifest destiny. Even the social dialogue has been conquered. Like, good luck trying to address a male problem. Any male problem in the public discourse. Go for it. take, I don't know, suicide, for instance. Men are significantly more likely to kill themselves than women are in every society on the planet. In the US, for instance, about 80% of completed suicides are male. However, ideology has advanced so thoroughly into the public discussion that the entire conversation is skewed away from helping those most affected by the problem when those people are men. The question here is not...
Let's just go back over that one, guys. Like, that's some very, very deep stuff that he's talking about there. Like, that is not easy to talk about. And like, it's when society doesn't see the benefit, then it gets swept under the rug. Let's go back to this.
Like, take, I don't know, suicide, for instance. Men are significantly more likely to kill themselves than women are in every society on the planet. In the US, for instance, about 80% of completed suicides are male. However, ideology has advanced so thoroughly into the public discussion that the entire conversation is skewed away from helping those most affected by the problem when those people are men. The question...
See that? The ideology of the world progressing, oh no, that would be helping the patriarchy by helping men that are committing suicide. So suicide isn't really that big a deal. It is a big deal, but, you know, let's just carry on here.
Here is not, why are millions more men than women killing themselves? The question is not, why does this seem to be a gendered problem? It's, why are transgendered folks significantly more likely to attempt suicide than cisgendered people? While this is true, it's also true that the number of completed suicides by males dwarfs the number of completed suicides by all transgendered people. And this is how a problem that disproportionately affects men is co-opted.
Correct.
When men speak to other men about their problems, they're reminded not to forget about women because they suffer too. However, issues that disproportionately affect women are allowed to remain female issues. When men try to uplift other men, we're reminded not to forget about women because they want those things too. However, so often, women don't include men in their strategies for success. It's a terrible double standard. And even in the abstracted realm of ideas, men are not to have their own dedicated spaces.
Now that's some pretty heavy stuff. I mean, if you're saying that stuff on the internet, you know, the one thing that makes Dr. Ryan Teraban here have the immunity to say those kind of things, I think, is probably because he's a practicing psychologist and he's a professional and he's put the time in to be able to be an authority in this space. Whereas if any Tom, Dick or Harry tries to get up on his soapbox and talk about this shit, he'll generally be laughed or yelled down. So I must definitely applaud Dr. Ryan Teraban for what he is doing for the male community. And basically, yeah, he's basically at the cutting edge or shining a light. You know, he's one of the thought leaders at the moment of this space. And it's for this reason, these deep intellectual conversations, these hard, deep intellectual conversations that he's prepared to have on YouTube that some other people aren't prepared to have. So very, very important.
And it's no coincidence that it is within this context of a total abolition of male spaces that certain ideologues have appeared. And what is their fundamental message? I'm for men. I'm a man talking directly to men. Correct. And I'm on men's side. I'm going to help men get what they want, and I'm going to address men's problems, and I'm going to put men first.
And this is why Social God exists, guys.
And this probably feels like mainlining heroin to a lot of young men because this isn't the 19th century. These young men have potentially lived their whole lives in the West without being acknowledged in that way. they haven't yet found a place where being a man isn't just not a negative, but may actually be a positive. And they feel seen and heard for the first time in a message that's exclusively meant for them. Like it or not, some of these people are unapologetic advocates for men.
Good.
And being an advocate for men is a kind of social suicide in today's day and age.
Correct.
Like, no one says you're not supposed to do this, but on some level, we all know that it's not a good idea not to involve the ladies. So the role attracts personalities that are so grandiose or aggressive or hardened that they can deal with the backlash that they inevitably receive.
And we all know who he is talking about and people like him. Mr. A.T.
And this is the
Mr. What color's your Bugatti?
important part. Some of these personalities go too far, and in their advocacy of men, they end up saying, fuck women. Not a good look. But most of them don't. However, even those who don't say this might as well have. Like, the social inference here is that anyone who must be for men must be against women.
Correct. And that's where the problem is. We can't stick up for men because we're seen as being against women. And that is totally not the case. And society needs to understand this. We just want to have our voice. And, all these other people come for us, but, we deserve a place in this community as well. And there is a huge, huge turning under the guard at the moment. There is going to be a rising up of men's issues in the coming years, guys. I'm telling you.
And every social advocate for men is a would-be oppressor of women. And that just isn't true. And we certainly don't think it's true when it's the other way around. Like, the thought leaders and organizations that proudly and explicitly advance women's interests aren't primarily considered to be the sworn oppressors or enemies of men.
Correct. We're all for women. We want women to succeed. But, when the shoe's on the other foot, don't come fucking trying to knock us down either.
But this incorrect belief creates the problem that we are discussing. Like, if just advocating for men implies that you're against women, which will attract a whole host of negative social consequences, then the vast majority of men who might be more sensitive and nuanced around the issues will be bullied out of the discourse or just think it's not worth it, leaving only the most aggressive or powerful personalities.
Correct. And this is what he's talking about, is basically what happens is the backlash is so great when men are talking about male issues that the weak ones, or the ones that aren't prepared to stand up and take the fight, basically take the backlash and cop all the abuse, they basically, no, fuck this, I'm not going to do this anymore, which literally leaves only the most hardened, extreme views for men to digest on the internet. That is exactly what he's talking about. So the more that society comes for men, the more it actually just creates the extreme end, the Mr. ATs, the Mr. What color's your Bugatti viewpoints, because they're the only ones that are prepared to stand up and fight. They're the only ones that are prepared to cop the backlash because they don't give a fuck, because they've got millions and millions of dollars, so who cares?
And if cultural progress is considered to be the infiltration and dismantling of every single male space, then the only ones that will survive will be those that actively defend themselves and fight for their existence.
Correct.
Not really a recipe for harmony and intersexual understanding. But the alternative isn't so hot either. On the other hand, I believe that if we take the need for male spaces seriously, if men and boys have the consistent lived experience of being valued and validated, of being seen and spoken to, then the attraction of the more forceful personalities will be much less powerful. Men may not need the spaces these personalities provide because they would already have their own. So there you have it. Just like women and girls can and do benefit from unisex environments at all stages of development, men and boys do the same. And the more these spaces are nurtured and preserved in a positive and sustainable way, the less likely more polarizing and extreme subcultures will take root.
There you go. Don't come for us. And the people like Mr. AT, what color's your Bugatti? Those extremes won't be as extreme.
What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience? Let me know in the comments below. And please send this episode to someone who you think might benefit from its message, as it's word-of-mouth referrals like this that really help to make the channel grow. Anyone looking to join my free weekly newsletter or to...
There we go. It's just swapping back to me now. So yeah, look, guys, Dr. Ryan Teraban, he is probably number uno neuro of the people online on YouTube that you should be following, because he actually has very articulate thoughts. That's quite a deep video. I'm going to do some other ones that are very, very good, particularly the captain of the ship, which sort of leads into his book, The Value of Others. But let's leave it there. So guys, this is David here from Social God, men's personal branding and photographer in Australia. And this is my second YouTube channel. This is my second YouTube video. So fucking take it easy on me. Thank you.